Okay, so the way we look right now is, the Yankees have won the last two games. They've looked much better these last two games, particularly offensively. But there's still a lot of holes. There's still a lot of improvement that needs to be made. And two games is really not a course reverse on how they were trending leading up to that. And so there's some things that need to be done, obviously, and there's some players that either need to be put in there to give out, to be given opportunities to see whether they can be, mainstays in a certain position or used as trade pieces for bigger pieces, so for bigger players. And I want to talk about the four most tradable Yankees right now, and whether it be in an individual trade or as a package for other trades, and based on performance kind of being knocked out of somebody who's outperforming them, and just for a number of reasons, and I'll go over them as as I do the video. But the first one to me is Clint Frazier, and I've liked him. I've defended him since he's come here, and Red Thunder. And he's got a major league elite bat speed, and he's had some injury issues. He had a great last year. He was one of the offensive pieces that helped carry the team last year. And in 2020, but this year he's really struggled, and recently he's been overtaken by Miguel Andujar, unfortunately. So to me, he's probably a good candidate for a change of scenery and somewhere where he can be a regular starter, because I think the Yankees, and I've said this recently in a video on how to kind of revamp to fix the Yankees lineup, is they've kind of mismanaged him ever since he's come up here. It reminds me of how they managed Jabba Chamberlain, and going from the bullpen to starting. It was just way all over the place, and it wasn't suited for him, and I don't think it's suited for Clint Frazier. So I think an opportunity to start elsewhere, and there are a couple teams like the Atlanta Braves who could potentially have a long-term opening now because of Marcell Ozuna. We don't know what's going to happen with him. And I've also mentioned Kris Bryant recently in trade, as a trade potential option for the Atlanta Braves, but after this year, he's going to cost probably $200 million. Frazier's on the team control till 2025, and generally the Braves don't dole out big contracts like that. I know, they gave Freddie Freeman a $100 million deal, but I think that was over 7 years, so it came out to be a reasonable contract. And he's actually a free agent that they're probably going to want to re-sign this offseason. So I can't see them giving Freeman, a decent sized contract, and then Bryant a huge monster one, because he's going to get one, especially since he's been kind of gone back to his superstar ways, and he also plays infield and outfield now. So I know, Austin Riley, and they can alternate, and it really honestly depends on what happens with Ozuna. And but either way, Clint Frazier would be a good prime candidate, as a package deal in a bigger trade. And I've also mentioned that recently in a video about where they can go and who they can go for. So take a look at the last couple of videos. They're in the description if you haven't yet, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But he's seems to me the most logical, one of the most tradable pieces, particularly since he's been kind of leaped over by Miguel Andujar. The second piece, and this might be an unpopular one, but it's Aroldis Chapman. And, we do have Darren O'Day and Zach Britton coming back from rehab assignments, and the bullpen has crazy depth. They have crazy depth in the upper levels of the minor leagues as well. Aroldis Chapman is the most dominant closer in all of baseball right now, but he also can extract an absolute haul at this point for the Yankees. And I think Zach Britton could fill in as closer quite admirably. He was really great with the Yankees. I know he's going to come back. Hasn't thrown yet in the majors this season, but I'm confident he'll be back. And he's had a sub-2 ERA a couple times with the Yankees already. So Aroldis Chapman to me seems a guy who can go to a major contender. It could be the Dodgers or the Padres, and they might give up a valuable piece or two for him. So if they really want to repeat the Dodgers, and he's definitely an upgrade over Kenley Jansen, I'll tell you that. Or the Padres, who would like a shutdown closer to neutralize the Dodgers, he's a perfect candidate. So I would look out for them to maybe less entertain offers for him. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're punting on the season, because they still have Britton and these other guys as well. If they moved Britton and him, then to me that's a little bit of a punt on 2021. But I could still see this as an addition by subtraction because of the pieces they would get back in return for him. And I think he's signed through next year and maybe 2023 with options. So and he does have a little bit of control left for teams. And the Padres and the Dodgers are one of the two teams that can afford it. And at this point, they've been really aggressive these last couple seasons, and they're right up the top at the very best in the elite teams in the baseball. So he would be a welcome addition to either one. So, but again, it would probably be an unpopular move for a lot of Yankee fans, but it could be a logical move for a bunch of others. So I would keep an eye out for Aroldis Chapman. Next one is Deivi Garcia. Young, yeah, he's young. He's 22. He's got a bunch of years of control left, but to me, I don't see him as a long-term piece in the Yankees rotation, and particularly because not only he's been struggling in the majors, there's a couple of other prospects who have higher ceilings than him, namely Clark Schmidt, even though he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and some of these other younger pitchers, Luis Medina, Luis Gil, and some of them, that I think Deivi Garcia could be a valuable piece in a trade to either extract another starter or packaged with a guy like Clint Frazier to extract a high-end starter, and may even have to package someone else. But to me, I think he would be a better fit on a National League team. He doesn't throw exceptionally hard, but he still works. And he can throw innings. But I think he'd be a better fit on a National League team at this point. But would I be upset if they kept him? No, but I don't think he'd be any more than maybe a number 3 or number 4. And since the Yankees already have, Cole, and you've got, well, we don't know what's going to happen with Kluber yet. We'll see how he comes back. Severino's on his way back from rehab now from Tommy John. He's looking pretty good so far. And you still have Tyler, you have Domingo Germán, you have Jordan Montgomery. So there's depth there. So I just don't see where he would fit moving forward, even if they moved on from Kluber this offseason and then Tyon next offseason when his option is up. So I still see the guys that they would bring in potentially being an upgrade over him. Now, I hate saying that. I hope he improves enough, but I could see him again. He's a perfect guy to package with Clint Frazier in a trade for a bigger piece, in my opinion. So he could be a serviceable pitcher elsewhere. But again, if he stays, he stays. So, last but not least, and I already mentioned, is Miguel Andujar. He's one I hope that they don't move, but he is very tradable, and mainly because Clint Frazier's tradable now because he's kind of become expendable and he could be a valuable piece somewhere else. Andujar's becoming more valuable by the day after the way he's hitting, and he's going to be a much more appealing trade candidate potentially as part of a huge trade for somebody of a significance. But in all honesty, if I were them, I'd keep him. I would keep him, and I would call up, because he leaves much to be desired with his infield defense, but he can serviceably play the outfield, but his bat is his moneymaker, and he's got a bat. So, I would keep him around if they could, unless they got, say a Max Fried from Atlanta or a significant piece for the starting rotation. But again, I've said this recently too. I would be calling up Estevan Florial and like Trey Ambergay, like those guys. And Florial's still adjusting to AAA. He's been raking in the minors before he came out to AAA, so I think he would adjust nicely upward as well at some point too. And Trey Ambergay's just ripping the cover off the ball in AAA, so another valuable piece. It gives him outfield depth and positional versatility. So does Miguel Andujar. He can give the infielders a day off. He can give the outfielders a day off. He can give the DH a day off. So, and personally, like I said recently, I would be resting, even though Giancarlo Stanton's heating up, I would be resting him on a regular basis. Playing him maybe 3 games and then resting him 3 on, 1 off, something like that. Some kind of consistent pattern. Even 1 day off is not going to destroy a hot streak. So I'd rather do something like that and keep him healthy and consistent than, keep playing him, and all of a sudden you have a calf strain, he's out another 6 weeks. He misses 25 games, and then it takes him another 20 to get back into his groove. So to me, it's doesn't make much sense in that regard. But these are my 4 most tradable players on the Yankees. There are other guys that could be moved, but I think these are the guys who have the most trade value, who can extract a good return, whether individually or combined in a blockbuster trade. So let me know what you think. I just can't see them trading Stanton. I can't find a buyer. And again, unless they're eating half his contract, I find it very difficult. I don't see them moving Tyon. I just don't see it. I don't see it. So They went through all that trouble to bring him here. And the fact is, he's throwing 5-6 innings each time, so he's at least given the rotation some innings, serviceable innings. So, and the bullpen has let him down a couple times, and so has the offense. So I'll keep that in mind too. And he also is in his first year back from Tommy John, so I would be reasonable with the expectation, just like I encourage folks to be reasonable with the expectations with Luis Severino. He could be throwing 98, but 98 doesn't mean anything if guys are hitting it all over the place. So I would temper the expectations with Luis Severino too. But these are my 4 guys. Let me know what you think. Give me your feedback in the comments. And I'm going to do my next video is going to be about aside from my Yankee recaps, is going to be the remaining needs. What do the Nets need to potentially go to the World Series? So be on the lookout for that one. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next.